We at the Adventure Bike Shop have used our experience from our own halfway round the world and back travels. To put together a range of products that we think are top quality, will last you a trip, brands we know and trust, products we've used ourselves. Dull products, and what am I going to say? Welcome to the Adventure Bike Shop. This is now getting good.
The Adventure Bike Shop, proud sponsors of
Adventure Bike TV.
Hello and welcome to Adventure Bike TV episode 9. As always, we have got a massively packed show for you. Everything from top tech to bike reviews to a visit to the Adventure Travel Show. But first of all, we've got a slightly different spin on our usual bike review because we're introducing our budget bike. On last month's show, we announced the competition to build the ultimate budget adventure bike. And I was furiously looking on eBay and I found one. And here's what happened when I went to look at it. Having spent a not inconsiderable amount of time over the past few weeks searching the internet for a bike under £1,000, the ultimate budget adventure bike, I'm now on my way to go and look at what could be considered to be an unusual choice but might be a really good one, and it's a Honda CD250. This is Paul that will come to see the bike about. Paul, just tell us quickly about the where you got the bike from and what you've done with it.
It's an old CD250 Honda, Partex by an old fella who'd probably turn in his grave now if you've seen what he'd done to it. But bit of green on it, bit of black, bit of welding, and hopefully you and your guys will try your best to destroy it, but I doubt very much you'll do it.
Well, I've just jumped back in the car. I have myself a £550 bike, which I hope will become the ultimate budget adventure bike. So, we are in my man cave, and the bike is safely here. And I'm going to explain in a minute about why I bought this bike, but I will explain first about the bike itself. So it may not look like it, but it is a Honda CD250. And it's a bike that was made by Honda in the UK, or distributed in the UK, in the late 80s and the very early 90s. It is in fact only a 233cc. And this particular bike has been made to look like something out of the army. When the bike first came out, apparently it was a real winner of hearts, let's put it that way. The police force used it, people loved it, and the reasons why they loved it was it was light. It's only 126 kilos. It does 80 miles to the gallon, but will still apparently do 70 to 80 miles an hour on the motorway or wherever. In its time, it was kind of class leading because it had a disc brake on the front, even though it's only got a drum on the rear, and its electric start, which for me is perfect with my dicky hip. So, why did I choose the slightly weird looking transformed Honda CD250 that looks like something out of The Great Escape? The main reason I wanted a Honda, first and foremost, and it's one of the things I've heard from so many adventurers from around the world is no matter where you go in the world, you can fix an air-cooled Honda motorcycle engine. And so that was kind of my primary thing, was I wanted a Honda and I wanted it to be air-cooled. In all honesty, I probably would have liked an XL250, an XL350, an XL500 if I could have found one of those, but they are like rocking horse poo. And the ones you can find for under £1,000 probably need a lot of work, or they're barn finds, and I just don't have the expertise or the budget to fix them. I mean, there's probably a fantastic bargain out there somewhere, but in the time I've been looking, I couldn't find one. So this bike ticks a lot of boxes. It's a Honda, it's air-cooled, it's got electric start, which for me is great. It's light at 126 kilos, it's going to keep on going forever in terms of the engine, and the price was 550 quid. So that leaves me with a whopping 450 to spend on all the other bits I need to do. So it's important that I take the bike out for a spin. I don't particularly want to put loads of miles on it, although it's got over 50,000 miles already, so it really doesn't make that much difference. But I do need to take it out for a spin, so I'm going to just take it out and see what it's like. Right, it's yes, it's not very fast. It's actually really slow, but I suppose it's only a 250 and it is 30 years old. And the handlebars, or the wheel, or the forks are completely out of alignment. It feels like my right hand's against my right knee to keep me going forward. But yeah, it's an old bike and I knew I'd have stuff to do. So this is the first time I've been out for a proper ride on what will be the ultimate budget adventure bike. And at this stage, it's pretty horrible. I'd only ever ridden it as a little drive down the track behind the guy's garage, and the handlebars or the front wheel is completely off in some shape or form, so I'm riding with one hand near my knee and one hand out in the world. The rear suspension is pretty much solid, the front seems fine, but I've also got to remember this is a budget adventure bike. It's going to have lots of little niggles with it, but it goes, and on the upside it hasn't been started for 5 weeks and it started absolutely first flick of the key, and that's what you want from a Honda. That's why I bought the Honda. So as we explained in last month's episode, we want as many of you as possible to take part in this challenge. So if you want to get involved, go to the website, go to the Get Involved tab at the top of the website and let us know, and we'll send you out an information pack, and hopefully we'll see you later in the year with all your fantastic budget adventure bikes. We've had loads of people telling us they're interested in building their own budget adventure bike. If you are interested, get in contact via the webpage. This month we were lucky enough to be invited to go and film at the Adventure Travel Festival in London's Olympia. The two most important words in Adventure Bike TV are adventure and bike, and we do loads of stuff at bike shows. So we thought, just for a change, we would come to an adventure show. This is the Adventure Travel Show from London Olympia.
Hi, welcome. I'm here with Graham at the Adventure Travel Show. I've got a stand here this year, which is quite nice. I'm here with Dorothy, my motorbike that I rode from Sydney to Alaska, that we saw in episode 6, taking around the track. When it's the first time I've been to this show, certainly the first time I've exhibited at it, and it is very interesting. It's a very different crowd to the usual motorcycle crowd. Obviously, when you go to Horizons Unlimited or even the NEC, other places like that, people are already aware of what you can do on a motorbike, the distances you can travel, even the novelty of a small bike. That's already been established at places like Horizons. But coming here, which is just a generic travel show, I think there's a lot of people here, they've got no concept of travelling on a motorcycle, what it entails, what the pros, the cons are, the realities, what a carnet de passage is. I mean, I'm having to explain that quite a lot. What's a carnet? What are the issues with shipping, visas, And I think people are just seem genuinely interested in what you can get out of travelling on a motorcycle. A lot of them, I mean, we've just been talking to one guy who's travelled Argentina on a horse, and now he's looking at doing something on a motorbike. So just very different conversations, which I'm finding quite interesting. And yeah, it's just good to be here, to be honest. It's good to meet new people, see new faces, and tell your story to new people. So definitely worth coming to. I guess that's all I've got to say.
Back in the summer, we tested a water bottle that would filter your water for you. Now there's loads of these things on the market, but at the show, there's a bunch of guys doing demonstrations with one. We thought we should show you how they do it.
Some very interesting people at the Adventure Travel Show. I've just been introduced by Sam Manicon to two extremely interesting people. This would be Helen Lloyd and Lorraine Chittock. So these are the people. Lorraine, Helen, tell us basically, if you can, about the projects you're both up to.
I'm working on, it's going to be a new motorcycle film called A Wild Life, and basically what I'm trying to do is make a correlation between the desire that I think most adventure motorcyclists have about having a wild life and being like raw and out in the elements, and the fact that our wild spaces are actually disappearing a bit, and I think we need to be a bit more active in doing something about it.
And this is primarily in Africa? This
is going to be in Africa, yes. I was just in Mozambique and in South Africa for a month each. I saw some amazing projects happening there, a lot of bad, but some very positive ones that gives me a lot of hope. And then I'll be going back in a month, but I'll be going more East Africa, where I used to live. I lived in Kenya for 5 years, and Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe to see some of the really interesting projects that are going there. You know, all related to a wild life, you know, the things that fuel us, that make us feel alive. Because I know, you know, I've been in England now for a month and it's bloody cold here, and it's hard to imagine that actually Africa is out there and that it's warm and that there's wild places, because it's so cold here.
Well, I was here today talking about my cycle ride through Africa. I spent 2 years cycling from home to Cape Town via West Africa and Central Africa. I've now seen some sense and decided that I'd love to go back and see more of the continent, but this time on a motorbike.
So you've seen the error of your ways doing all the pedal power.
Yes, I'm getting lazy essentially.
Lazy. That's fantastic. And when do you think the trip's going to start?
Well, I'll be travelling through Europe this summer and then hopefully head to the continent in maybe September, October time.
And as long as the money's there, you stay there?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Helen is going to no doubt fill us in on her blogs when she gets going, and we'll do some more reports hopefully on both Helen and Lorraine's projects. And now we'll carry on walking.
Just wandering around the show and bumped into our old friend Austin Vince.
I'm lucky enough to have been booked to talk with Lois Price, my wife, about how to organise your first motorcycle adventure. The assumption being that you're new to it and you're not quite sure what to do. So we've got a kind of like starter pack seminar thing, which we're doing today, Saturday and tomorrow, Sunday. Tonight, Saturday night, the festival or the event has this kind of wind down thing. Wind down feature. It has a contracted version of our Adventure Travel Film Festival. So we have 3 short films and then a feature-length film, which, when you think of all of the stuff that we have at the Adventure Travel Film Festival, I'm very proud to say that the main feature film tonight is Ed March doing his Malaysia to UK trip film thing, which I think is called the Public's Imagination Enormously. This is the Adventure Travel Show. It's the only event of its kind in the UK. It's and therefore it is the market leader in that area. It's grown and grown and grown. I've been coming for the last 5 years with my kind of general adventure travel hat on. But what's crucial to point out is that this isn't, of course, a motorcycling weekend. But if you're even vaguely interested in adventure motorcycling and long distance travel and going to unusual places, then this is the event for you. I mean, there's so much stuff here that you might not have thought of. And in that moment when maybe bikes off the road or something like that, there's ideas here for the other things that you might get up to. It's fantastic.
Right, well, the show has been interesting. I'm not quite sure what I expected when I was on the way here.
No, me neither. I think it's different to what we both expected. Yeah. I think we thought it'd be a bit like almost a gnarly adventure, backpackery type thing, and it's not. No, is it really? It's more of a corporate adventure travel market.
Yeah.
Which is all right if that's what you're interested in.
Absolutely, yeah. I think if you want to have a packaged adventure that you pay your money, you go along, and it's an amazing, fantastic experience, there is an unbelievable amount of choice here.
Well, some interesting mindsets. I mean, a person just came over, they'd done Argentina on a horse. A girl, you wouldn't think, a young, beautiful girl, and she's going out to Uzbekistan and Tajikistan to a wild trek and stuff. So there's a lot of adventurous people here. It's a cool place to come and meet.
You get some very, very hardcore adventurers. Yeah.
And attractive.
Oh. I haven't spotted any attractive women here.
No, me neither.
No. Now it's time for an ad break, but we'll be back right afterwards with Top Tech and Under the Visor.
We have the largest selection of hard luggage under the one roof in this country. Bollocks. We are the sole UK stockist of the Redvers tent, the original Park Your Bike in the Garage tent. We also have a range of tents and other camping equipment from a number of trusted brands. That was
Welcome back. Now it's time for Top Tech, where we're looking this month at something a little bit more casual.
This year on Top Tech, we've looked at a load of really great stuff, but we haven't spent any time looking at footwear yet. Now, I'm very, very particular about my footwear. I love my adventure boots, I love my off-road boots, but trying to find something casual, which I really, really, really like, is difficult. They need to be something that's waterproof, but also something that keeps my feet safe, and I can wear into the pub and get away with wearing it into the office. To be fair, there is actually quite a lot of choice out there. Loads of manufacturers, loads of different sort of casual boots, but when you look around, the vast majority are kind of urban or street, not the kind of thing that you could get away with wearing into the office. However, I came across these Rodeo boots from Revit back in the spring when I was visiting the hub. They're water repellent with, now wait for this, thermoformed and reinforced heel and toe, and Revit make a particular point about them having ergonomically shaped footbed and ankle cup for, as they put it, unrivaled comfort. They've not stinted on the materials either. They're made from Apache Batido cowhide, which offers good abrasion resistance, and it's that gives them their water repellency. So, they're water resistant, they've got great protection, and I've got to say, I think they look pretty damn good as well. they're equally at home on the bike, going into the pub. Well, my big thing, I can get away with wearing them into the office.
Now it's time for Under the Visor. It's a little bit different this month, as we were invited to go and film in London at an evening of adventure motorcycling.
James Cargo Motorcycle Shipping sponsors Under the Visor.
We've just arrived at the Alwyn Castle Bar and Restaurant in Islington, so let's go in and see what it's all about. So I'm here this evening with Bruce Smart, who is doing the talk at Moto Adventures tonight. Just tell us a little bit about what kicked off your adventure, why you did it, and then what eventually it became.
Teapot One was inspired by Long Way Round, as most are, but again, I didn't ride a motorbike. Thought I would do it eventually at some point. My mum happened to be fighting cancer and unfortunately losing a battle. And she said to me one day, you know, look after those that you love, but live your life. You only get one chance. Live your life. And it lit a torch for me, and there and then I booked my bike test, passed my bike test. Mum had got really unwell by that point. She was close to the end. So I passed my bike test, went and saw her, and she said, look, promise me you'll do that trip. And she died 6 days later. So for me, it was like, right, I'm going to do this. And that was it. 3 years later, I left.
Right. So it was, obviously a sad thing that started it off, but actually became obviously so much happier. But what happened in that interim 3 years?
I spent 3 years sort of planning, saving, preparing, ready to go. Yeah, that was it really, just planning for it. I look back now and I think you don't need that length of time. I literally could have packed my bags, got the first visa and gone, but it's the unknown, isn't it? So, yeah.
And was it always your plan to do the big 74,000 miles? Was it always a plan to do that far?
It was actually originally 100,000 miles. I was going to go right round Africa through the Middle East, and I also planned on doing China. So when I first left back in 2012, I got as far as sort of Dakar in West Africa, but ran into one or two problems crossing Mauritania. There was a big outbreak of the Al-Shabaab guys, the Boko Haram guys. They'd come in down through Mali, and then they got into Mauritania, so the place was full of police, army, rebels and bandits really, and they made full advantage of a fat Scotsman on a jigsaw, so that was pretty rough. So by the time I came back, Africa had pretty much been wiped off my list. I had no intention of going back there at the time. The Middle East had all kicked off everywhere that I was planning to go. I really wanted to go to Syria, but it wasn't advisable to go there at the time. And China was just proving too much of a headache to get the visa. So I adapted the route, and it ended up being 74,000 miles.
So you started it, got as far as West Africa, and then came back, and then restarted. And
yeah, I ended up back in London, thinking that was the end of my dream, and thankfully a guy who happened to be following the trip just happened to be sort of one of the head UK CEOs of Delta Energy Services, who are an oil company. They came forward and said, look, it's our 25th anniversary next year, we're looking for a PR vehicle, would you be interested? And of course I bit his hand off. And those guys stumped up about half of what I needed financially to do the trip. And that was it. As soon as that was signed on the dotted line, 3 weeks later I left, I was gone. And that was me for the next 400 odd days.
Right. And your choice of bike, was it a specific choice to go with the Jigsaw, or was it just that's what you had?
Yeah, it had been. I've always ridden Jigsaws. I love the bike, I'm comfortable on the bike, I know how it feels, I know how it sounds, especially when it's not running properly, which I think is vital when you're doing a trip like that. You need to know when the bike's not feeling up to it that day, so that you can maybe give it a bit of an easy time. And in my head, you know, everywhere I looked, people were doing it on a GS. And I just thought, I'm doing this for charity. I want to try and not raise the bar, but I want to stand out a little bit, because I've got to try and catch people's imagination here. So I thought, okay, let's do it on the Jigsaw. You know, Nick Sanders has done it on the R1, Jacques Lucasson did it on the R1. I spoke with both, had a good night at the hub with Jacques Lucassen over quite a few beers, and you know, he basically said, any bike that you're happy on, any bike that puts a smile on your face, take that bike. So that was it. Took the Gixxer. I met up with a South African biker who was on an old Euro, and he had a completely different experience and reaction from people than I did, and I think that's probably the one time the choice of bike really went against me. People seem to take major exception to me being on that bike, dressed in the leathers with all the logos over me. Straight away they think you're a millionaire anyway, but the fact that you've got all this, I think they just think, right, money, 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 give me money, give me money. And I had no money. You know, I was on bare bones, but yeah, they just decided to take whatever I had really, so yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah. And as a bike to do a big adventure on, was there anything where it was particularly the right bike for it, or anywhere where you'd have given a choice, like to have swapped for a few days?
Definitely the seat. Definitely the seat. I've got a fair bit of padding on my backside, but definitely sort of halfway through I was thinking I would kill for like a sheepskin sort of seat, or a big Airhawk seat or something like that. But of course some of the off-road sections would definitely have been more comfortable and perhaps not as painful to do on an adventure bike. Definitely I could have gone a lot quicker than I did, but I put my hand on my heart and say that if I had to do that trip again, I'd take a Gixxer. I would take that bike again. The feeling of accomplishment when you get through in the talk tonight, you'll see some of the terrain I went through. You know, there were people on off-road bikes who wouldn't want to try it, and you know, you get through that on a Gixxer and you think, happy days, you know, I've done something there. So yeah, definitely for me it was the right bike.
Okay.
I'm now sat with July, who owns Moto Adventure Nights. So July, just tell us about it.
We started back in March 2013, and it was just to sort of get people together in Rome, listen to the people who've actually ridden across the world. I think sometimes it can be quite intimidating because people don't have enough information to hand, and when they hear it from the horse's mouth, they get excited, they think they can actually do it. And we've had a couple of cases where people have come for these nights and packed their jobs and they've left on trips, big trips. We had this one fellow from Russia who came for the first night, got really excited about the whole thing, packed up his job and then rode to Japan. And we've been trying to get him to come and present ever since, but he's just got the travel bug now and he's just constantly travelling. So yeah, like I said, it started back in March 2013 and we've had a few people come and present. We've had Graham Field, Paddy Tyson, Simon Chegwin, and it's a good laugh. It's quite informal the whole night, and so just have a few beers, listen to a few presentations, and that's the sort of crux of the whole thing. And it's a free event, so I don't charge anything, and I think it's a good laugh overall, and people get quite excited and sort of encourages the whole adventure motorcycling thing, and sort of basically I think brings the community together, especially in London, because people don't step out that much. We had this one person saying, why do you organise it in North London? You should have it in South London because it's a bit of a trek, and had a fully loaded BMW. So you see, we get all sorts of people. So yeah, that's how it sort of started. And I used to do something similar in India with Enfield. So back, and this is another life, I used to take expeditions to the Himalayas. So we used to do similar sort of presentations. It's the same concept, so to speak.
Right.
And yeah, that's how we're there.
So you've sort of answered what was going to be my next question, which was, do you ride? What's your history with adventuring as well?
So I started riding in India. So I was the brand ambassador for Enfield for a couple of years, and I used to take expeditions to the Himalayas. I have a full-time job, but this is just for a laugh. And I started the Delhi Enfield Club as well. This is back in 2001. So ever since I've just been riding motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles since I was 13, and it was quite handy because I grew up in India and the Himalayas are just there, so you have so much to sort of play with. So yeah, that's where it started. I've been in Europe since 2007 now, and I've got family in Ireland, and probably picked up the accent a wee bit. A little bit. And yeah, now I ride around there, and I'm hoping to do the Alaska to Argentina trip in 2016. Right. So that's what's on the cards, and tonight we're also launching Motor Adventure Photography, which is basically an online platform for people to sort of go and exchange pictures, not exchange pictures, but basically upload their pictures and help other people sort of basically inspire other people to sort of do the same thing.
Right. So when you do the Pan American Highway trip, is that going to be with your wife and the little one, or just?
No, that's just going to be on my own, because this is one of the things I sort of spoke to my then girlfriend saying I'd really need to do this. irrespective of whatever happens, and she agreed to it. And we ended up getting married, so...
So you're getting past it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, it's going to be 5 months, and I think it'll be good fun.
So, the talks are well underway, and I do recommend that if you see another one of these on Facebook, you take the time to come along and drop by and see them. They're really, really great. And on that note, I'm going to go back in.
James Cargo Motorcycle Shipping sponsors Under the Visor.
We have viewers from all over the world, and this month we've been sent a film by a Canadian rider which follows his quest to find the crash site of his fallen hero.
So you want to know why? I mean, what is it that makes a man ride a motorcycle from Toronto to Timmins just to lay a coin at a dead hockey player's grave? Well, take a number and get in line. But FYI, I'm the guy at the front. The idea was just to ride as far north as I could past Cochrane, Ontario, ditch the bike somewhere, put on a set of snowshoes, and hike off into the bush in search of Bill Barocco and Henry Hudson's 1951 crash site. Really, how hard could it be? I mean, I've done way bigger trips than this before. Best laid plans, I guess. After loading up Agatha, my rusty, trusty two-wheel tin can of a motorcycle with a week's worth of trail mix and a 1916 first edition book of poems by Robert W. Service, I clenched my jaw and pointed north. Once I got to the sacred center ice of Maple Leaf Gardens, my stomach went all topsy-turvy on me from the excitement. I took the holy talisman out of my pocket and put it down on the ice, and I completely forgot about the physics of what happens when you take a warm coin and put it on cold ice. Damn near broke a nail. The first major stop of the trip is to meet up with Rex. He's the area's resident gearhead and vlogger extraordinaire who's done a lot of really good work promoting the power sports industry up here. He's one of those good old salt-of-the-earth northern boys. I can't help but marvel at this man's tenacity. Among other things, he's got arthritic hands and wrecked knees, yet still manages to ride, drive, pilot, or steer anything he can get his hands on with a spark plug. was just a little too crisp the next day for Aggie to start up on her own, so I had to light a sterno can under her whirly bits. Yeah, those weren't butterflies in my stomach in Toronto. Turns out I had a bit of a tummy bug. But I did manage to hold it together long enough to meet with Chad over at Expedition Helicopters. He and I sat down and figured out a number of different possible routes to the crash site. And after we finally decided on what was probably the most snowshoe-friendly path, we shook hands and I was on my way thinking, geez, that's going to be the guy that's going to have to pull my frozen carcass out of the bush. Still have about 90 or so kilometers to go up to the top of a Tembec logging site before I ditch the bike and put on the snowshoes. I still feel like crap, but the excitement of being back in some of the most remote areas of Northern Ontario helps to redirect my focus. You often hear people that partake of some off-the-wall adventure sport use the phrase, "It's a different world out here." I know, it's a tired, old, beat-up cliche, but damn if it doesn't fit. Every time I dropped into another bottomless hole, I became keenly aware of just how much sweat was running down my creaky old frame. Didn't take long for it to become abundantly clear that I was in way over my head. With the cold, dry sun sitting one tree above the horizon, it was time to make camp and boil water. Now, since I had the best sleeping bag $49 could buy, there was no reason for me to bring a tent. Don't you guess that the things we're seeing now will haunt us through all the years? Heaven and hell rolled into one, glory and blood and tears. Life's pattern picked with a scarlet thread, where once we wove with the gray, to remind us how we all played our part in the shock of an epic day. But looking at the map and the GPS, it didn't take me long to figure out I was going to need at least 6 days in the bush. And I just don't have that time. This isn't going to happen. The hike back to the logging camp was saturated with equal parts sweat and self-pity. Whenever I go off on one of my little eccentric adventures, I always start off with a chant in my head that sounds something like, "Shoot for the moon, but if you can't, settle for Mount Everest." It's a sentiment that's done well in the past to take the sting out of not achieving the odd pie-in-the-sky goal. But at the moment, while digging my extra gear out, it just sounds like cheeseball horse shit. I guess I could have thought this out better, but if I can't get to the crash site, I could at least make it to his grave. Once I'd made it to this thriving metropolis with finally calmed down gastrointestinal plumbing, I was hell-bent on normal people food. No more horse feed and tree moss flavored meltwater. I'm going out for steak. The snow depth and sheer size of the cemetery made it one of those needle haystack scenarios. By dumb luck, I caught the letter O at the end of a name above the snow. They were Bill's parents. Imagine for a minute you're William Barilko. You come from a poor family in a Northern Ontario mining town, and you're just 24 years old. Tonight you're going to play in a Stanley Cup final game against the great Montreal Canadiens. And you don't know this yet, but it's going to be you they hoist up onto their battered shoulders. You. You're going to kiss the girl and drink from the cup as an entire nation celebrates you. Until the bony hand of fate plucks you from the sky.
How clean the place is. Yeah, the sun is shining bright down here. I guess it started to snow up there. Well, Mom, Alec will be here with me for a couple of days, and we're really going to have a good time. Hey, Al. Yeah, we sure are. Last night we played together, and they beat us 2-1, Mom. Bill knocked me down a couple of times, but I got back at him. Oh, now listen here. No, none of us got hurt, though. No, nobody gets hurt when we play together, Mom. Don't worry about that.
As I leave Timmins and head for home, my old arch nemesis Winter Rain vexes me once more. It's not long before the plummeting thermometer and the increasing northwesterlies add insult to injury. My seat hardens into a solid block, which requires now and then I pull over to allow my testicles to descend back into their neatly shaped cup formed in my frozen underwear. Although Mr. Happy won't come out. Flittering thoughts of summer's yore and the sweet, warm kiss of sun on skin provided a temporary respite from the cold grey hell that was my current existence. Was it really so long ago that we sipped umbrella drinks on the deck as the waves lapped their gentle sunset lullaby? It was here that the friendly local constable's siren shocked me out of my hypothermic trance. At his insistence, I was given a double police escort to the nearest motel for my own safety. This did give me the opportunity to enjoy sketchy pizza with good scotch while I relived the events of this trip in my head.
I'm a simple boy, but a Canadian man. Oh, and we can do anything with our two hands. Come on, let's save the world, make a Canadian stand. Oh, you can always do what you want, do what you need instead. You can climb every mountain and every tree, but never get ahead.
Now it's time for an ad break. When we're back, we're going to be bringing you a new monthly feature, Slimbo's Superlative Suggestions.
Adventure Bike Shop, we also do a wide range of soft luggage, if that's more your thing.
We really care about the adventure motorcycle market and try to make it as many shows as possible to see our customers. So if you can't come to the shop, come see us at a show.
Welcome back from the break, and before we get on to our final feature, it's time for Slimbo's Superlative Suggestions.
And welcome to the first ever Slimbo Superfluous Suggestions. Today what we're going to do is tell you how you can not make a mess in the environment and enjoy yourself, and make sure that when you have that moment and there is no toilet facilities available, you're not caught short. Yes, we're talking about doing something in a pannier. Right, first thing we're going to start off with is the paperwork. Now normally you do this at the end, but what I want to explain to you is it's a simple thing. Never forget this. This is important of anything, because if you're trying to scrabble around and find a leaf or something that's going to do the biz for you, you're going to struggle. Also, keep your little bag for whatever you do in the roll. You know you're ready to rock and roll for that. So what we're going to do to start off with is put this to one side. We're going to open up our pannier. He said, if I knew how to do this I would. But somebody's locked it. Here we go. Right, now any pannier will do, to be honest. Any metal pannier will do. The ones that work really well, the ones where the lids can come completely off, yeah, if they hinge to the side, then you just gotta get yourself comfortable. What you're going to do is you're going to get your bag and you're just going to line the inside. It's as simple as that. Now what you can do, and I've seen this, is you can actually get yourself a couple of pieces of pipe insulation and just keep them in the boxes and put them on the edge there. It's simple, straightforward. What you're going to do is you're going to do the biz in there. You're going to use, obviously. When you've finished, you remove the whole lot out, bag it, double bag it if you need to, and when you come to a bin or somewhere where you can dispose of it safely, that's exactly what you're going to do. This is going to be so much better. I say, chaps, do you mind?
There will be more superlative suggestions from Slimbo every month. Now it's time for a somewhat last-minute challenge from one of our viewers.
Okay, Graham, we've got another challenge sent to us to the website. It is, they want to see a bike versus mountain bike, which on the road would be pretty boring.
Okay, right, well, okay, that'd be cool. Any chance I can ride a mountain bike? Being as what I quite like it.
As you quite like the mountain bikes, yes. Yeah, but yeah, there's no problem with that. And then we'll come up with an off-road course, something that's kind of difficult for both, and kind of make it as fair as possible.
There's somewhere close to here. Can we do it tomorrow?
No, we haven't got Bob, because Bob's in South America doing racy things.
Right, okay. So if we've got no Bob, that's actually quite good, because I get a better chance of winning if I'm against somebody else.
It's true.
Speaking of which, I could always race you.
Yes. Yeah.
But.
But. What bike? Your bike.
I guess if I'm challenging you, I suppose I should lend you my bike. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, it's only got road tyres on it though.
Well, yeah, okay, road tyres, that's not going to make it very fair, is it really?
Okay, right, so it's not fair because you've got road tyres and I'm riding with a third of a horsepower and you've got 150, so it's not fair. But
if you're thinking of where I think you're thinking, it's going to be pretty muddy.
Okay, but I think the 150 horsepower on the bits where it's not muddy will more than make up for the fact that you're going to struggle on road tyres through the muddy bits.
Okay, and what's the winner get?
the pleasure and the satisfaction of whooping the ass of the other person.
So respect. This is for respect, is it?
Yeah, okay. We'll race for respect.
Okay.
So what seemed like a very good idea in front of the roaring fire last night, in literally the cold light of day, the very cold light of day.
It's cold.
Is and hence the reason why we've got our hands tucked under our arms, even with gloves on. It's freezing. It's a little bit more challenging, I think, particularly for Tom, because he's going to be riding with road tyres on a fair amount of mud.
Fair amount of mud.
Which actually it convinces me I'm actually going to whoop his ass.
Yeah, you might win this.
Go on!
You know, it'd be really nice if we had a challenge where the bike actually won. Bearing in mind this is a bike show.
Yeah. But having said that, the actual track we're going to use, it does have some muddy sections, but it does have some big, long, gravelly sections where I'm just limited to whatever I can get up to, sort of 15 miles an hour, whatever it is. And
I'm limited to how big my balls are.
Yeah. So let the challenge begin.
On the face of it, we have two very, very different bikes. Okay, not just on the face of it. It's a bit like comparing the cars owned by Fred Flintstone and Ken Block. One of the bikes is a 3.5 grand, 13 kilo, 0.2 horse powered mountain rider, whilst the other is a 14,000 pound, 212 kilo, 150 horsepower heavyweight world crossing chariot. But there are similarities. They are both chain driven. They both have all-round hydraulic disc brakes. They both have long travel full suspension front and back. They both have gears and two wheels, but I guess that's stretching the comparison just a bit.
Okay, so I might have cheated there a little bit at the start, but God, it's these roads are, well, they're not roads, they're just dirt paths and these tyres.
Tom probably hasn't realised actually how much of a slope there is on this bit. He's just headed off down the gravel path, but it's actually quite a slope.
God, even on this quite compact dirt, I just can't get any grip. The back just wants to completely take over the front. And it's actually quite exhausting and embarrassing, really.
Oh Christ, my chain's come off. It's just gone one click over more than it should do. It's come off the rear sprocket.
God, at this speed, I mean, it's just, oh God, just want to take over the. I was completely all over the place. Okay.
Right, Tom's completely head off into the distance. I'm now on the kind of the traverse, but I think my front tyre's going flat. But I'm not sure. It may have been like this to start with, and I couldn't tell.
The worst thing about this is just the back is constantly trying to overtake the front, and it's actually quite exhausting.
Right, I've just come around a corner, and that's it. Front tyre completely flat. I can't even run around corners on it. I'm going to have to push it from here.
Okay, we've got this bit's a bit more gravelly, so it's a bit faster, but it's just patches of crap everywhere. It's just I can't. God, come on! Just I can't get this back wheel in line with the front wheel, and this is just embarrassing. Legs flailing. It's just embarrassing. God, I want to go home. I can't believe this is rubbish. I'm just going to straight line. God. Go on straight line. Just. The back wheel is just not falling in line with the front one. It's just. Come on.
I didn't realise quite how far this was when I was riding down, probably because I was riding downhill, and now I'm riding uphill through the mud, and it's not nearly as fast. Tom must have finished by now. I'm just, I've lost this by a million miles.
Right, coming in. The water's actually not too bad. It's just a little bit. It's good because the mud's out the way, and it's just going to get straight down to the gravel underneath, and that makes it a bit easier as you ride through. And I've got the camera wet, I think. Small mud, and it's just sticky, and it's. Graham's got to be coming up behind me any second. There's no way. It made me speak.
My feet are wet, and it's not so much a mountain bike versus motorbike. It's a me walking versus Tom finishing. So actually, it's not a competition. But I bet he's going to just tell me that he's won anyway. But he hasn't really, because it's a DNF for me.
So this is the last bit, the last little straight, and I can't imagine. I can't see him behind me and look behind me there. Okay, I can't imagine this most prestigious finish waddling along this road, but we're going to win it. I'm going to finally win it. I can't believe I've won. I can't believe I beat him. I can't. This is awesome, thank God. Oh, Jesus. Where is he? He's got to be there somewhere. I haven't seen him for absolutely ages. This is ridiculous. I mean, he should be right behind me by now. It's just, that's weird that it's not right behind.
I prefer to think of it less of a loss and more of a technical disaster, or a technical DNF.
No. Just to clarify, who won that?
You got to the finish line first.
Which is the definition of winning. I came first.
Yeah, well, you came first out of one because there was one DNF out of two.
No.
Surely,
yeah, the DNF is still
that's
losing. If you had a race, if you did the Dakar and only one bike finished and all the rest were DNFs, he'd still win the Dakar.
I can't get the words out.
I am the champion, my friend.
Okay, that was a race, and of course Tom didn't actually win because I was a DNF. Right, sorry, come back. Right, okay, Tom won, but only just. What we will do is come back to that race later in the year and try and give me a proper chance to see if I can win. And that was the show. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month.
3, 2, 1, and action.
How do you allow Jack to shout?
No, because you've got a mic on you, haven't you?
Got a mic. Oh yeah.
Are you ready?
No, I'll be watching that.
Let's always somebody. That doesn't involve. People walking with blinkers on. There weren't a huge number of options. There'll be more. There will be more. Right, let me start again.